Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with the kill count. Tonight, watch your backs from some killer cars, because we got Christine. Yeah, Stephen King's film, Christine. This is gonna be a wild ride, to say the least, if you guys know what I mean. So, why don't we take a look back and see how many kills this killer car gets. So be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's check it out.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Christine, released in 1983. Directed by John Carpenter, the man who brought us Halloween and The Thing, Christine is based on Stephen King's novel of the same name and year. In fact, production began just days after the novel was published, with a script having already been written based on King's manuscript. The rights to the story were purchased by producer Richard Kobritz, who had already produced a screen adaptation of another King story, the miniseries version of Salem's Lot. King liked it so much, he gave Kobritz first rights to his stories, and while the producer passed on Cujo, he got excited about Christine. Kobritz took the film to Carpenter, who had just gotten reamed by critics for making The Thing too graphic, so he jumped at the chance to make a more character-based, less gory horror movie. Christine celebrates two of America's favorite pastimes, cars and rock and roll. And as we all know by now, I'm not a car guy, so apologies in advance for any mistakes I make in this episode. Though there are plenty of differences between the movie and novel, a 700-page beast that I have yet to tackle. Both of them follow the titular car, a red 1958 Plymouth Fury, as she murders people. Because of course Stephen King would write a story about a murderous vehicle. It's not the only time he did it either. Just you wait for Maximum Overdrive, which is one delightful mess.
This machine just called me an asshole!
But Christine is not a mess. It's a well-crafted film that takes its story seriously, with talented actors in every role and a kick-ass score by Carpenter himself. I really enjoy this movie, and I think it's somewhat overlooked, especially since it's a product of two masters of the genre, Carpenter and King. Maybe this movie can tell us how many kills to expect when our self-driving cars reach singularity and turn against their human owners. Let's find out!
It depends on the AI, not what we treat them, to be honest. I know I'm saying that, considering I don't think the AIs have shown some signs of, breaking away, but hey, as long as you don't immediately go to the guns, we'll be fine. But yikes, yeah. If we all know movies, usually someone starts shooting things without thinking straight. You know who you are. I mean, come on, we all know what happens. Like, someone shoots first, asks questions never. And that's how wars start, and probably if it comes to AI, our species ends. Sorry, but that's accurate. Anyway, time to see how many kills Christine the car gets. Let's go.
The movie begins with John Carpenter's title card. Rev that shit up, Christine. Nice! That unseen car idles through the plain opening credits before we find ourselves in D-Town, baby, back when the Packard plant was still open. As George Thorogood sings about how thoroughly bad he is, a line of 58 Plymouth Furies roll through a Chrysler assembly plant, which was actually an abandoned factory that art director Dan Lamino fixed up to look like a mid-century auto plant. This opening scene also looks different than the rest of the movie, since cinematographer Donald M. Morgan shot it on Fujifilm to make it look softer and more aged. 16 years later, Morgan would go on to shoot another King-connected film, The Rage Carry 2. Most of these cars are in buckskin beige, the only color used for the roughly 5,000 Furies made in real life. But Christine is the title car, so she's in a sexy hot red getup as she struts through the factory, showing off her assets. Hey, she said you could look, brother, not touch. Keep your hands to yourself, pervert. That handsy dude is played by Joe Unger, by the way. Last seen on the kill count as Tinker in Texas Chainsaw 3, the guy who made a literal golden chainsaw. One worker decides to take his union-guaranteed break in Christine's front seat, where he dirties the bench with his cigar. Not cool, guy. That's a good way to get mysteriously murdered and added to the kill count. At least he went out with some rock and roll, since from Christine's radio, Buddy Holly and the Crickets chirp away.
For you to know just how I feel.
We fast forward to 1978 in a fictional California town with an updated version of Buddy's song playing from an updated version of an automobile.
Love is real and I'll fade away.
Awkward Arnie Cunningham, a big ol' high school nerd, has a sweet, if unlikely, friendship with popular footballer Dennis Gilder. Arnie is played by Keith Gordon, who was one of Mike Brody's forgettable friends in Jaws 2, while Dennis is played by John Stockwell, who has spent the last 20 years directing various films, including 2016's Countdown, which starred Catherine Isabelle, who we just saw in the 2002 TV Carrie, as well as, what's this? WWE superstars Kane and Dolph Ziggler. Hell yeah! It's the start of their senior year, and while Dennis has no problem getting eye-fucked by every gal in the hallway, Arnie attracts a less enjoyable kind of attention. Namely, a gang of bullies led by Buddy Repperton here, the size of his biceps matched only by the size of his hair. Buddy rocks a switchblade, a standard Stephen King bully accessory that has always scared the absolute shit out of me, and a posse that includes this dude Don, played by Stuart Charno, who was that goofy asshole in Friday 2 that somehow survived the movie. I still think about that sometimes. Buddy breaks Arnie's glasses, spurring Dennis to get involved, but that only gets him sexually assaulted by this fucker named Moochie before the whole thing is broken up by shop teacher Mr. Casey. Though Bud...
Also, did you notice how, like, Moochie, like, squeezed? Like, youch! Man, no matter where you go, you always deal with the school bullies. Like, no matter where. I mean, like I said, never really dealt with bullies where I'm from, but maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know. Like I said, never got bullied myself. I don't know why. Maybe I just got lucky. Or maybe they just didn't think me as a bully target. Oh well, moving along.
Buddy does not respect his authority.
If you mean I can't turn out your pockets...
Yeah, try it, you little ball fuck, and I'll knock you through the wall. Fuck!
Did you just bark at me? Some of this movie's swearing was added to ensure an R rating, so it would seem more like a horror movie. The language caused some critics to clutch their pearls.
I think the New York Times called
this? Like, what does it mean by clutch their pearls?
The most foul language film in the history of English-speaking cinema.
But then Scarface came out later that year. On their way home from school, Arnie eyes something that immediately captivates him. An old rust bucket with a for sale sign on it. In spite of Red's mileage, he becomes enamored. So when a snow shoveler named George LeBay appears, wearing a filthy old man corset and holding the car's keys, Arnie negotiates to buy the vehicle.
How much do you want for it? I mean, whatever it is, it's not enough.
He's not the best negotiator. The car still starts and is named Christine, according to George, whose brother was the previous owner, having bought Christine right off the assembly line.
She had the smell of a brand new car. That's just about the finest smell in the world. Except maybe for pussy.
Well, Mr. LeBay, I never. LeBay's brother died 6 weeks ago, which is why he's selling the car now. And for Arnie, how about $250? That's equal to just about $1,000 in today's dollars. And since Arnie's been saving up, he's in. Arnie can't even be talked out of it by his good friend Dennis, who doesn't trust the nasty old man making the sale since he goes around calling people shitters.
You don't know half as much as you think you do. Shitter.
Like I said, I haven't read the book yet, but my understanding is that one of the big changes here involves George LeBay. In the movie, he's a pretty minor character, since Carpenter wanted to make the car the star. But I think in the book, he plays a much bigger role, with his decomposing spirit often hanging out in Christine's backseat, or something like that. I don't know. It's crazy Stephen King shit, you know? Arnie's parents are incensed about the purchase and tell him he's not allowed to keep the car at their house, so he takes it to Darnell's, a local junkyard / garage. He parks it in an open spot that Christine promptly farts all over, pissing off garage owner Darnell, who don't take no gruff from troublesome youths.
Don't interrupt me. Don't get smart.
Darnell's garage was played by an old World War II wire factory in Irwindale, California. It was an enormous building, so half of it was used as a set for Darnell's, while the other half was used as a body shop to fix all the Christines they had. The movie spent most of its budget gathering up about 24 Plymouth Furies, which were then used to assemble about 17 fully working vehicles. Some were reinforced to slam into things, some had hot rod engines so they could peel out, and some were crunch cars, built specifically to get crushed. By time production ended, only 2 of the cars were left intact. From what I can tell, they're now owned by Martin Sanchez and Bill Gibson, and one of them recently had some kind of marriage ceremony. 3 weeks after the purchase, Christine's looking a little better, due to Arnie's relentless work using parts found around the junkyard. He even begins to win Darnell's respect, with the old curmudgeon offering him part-time work.
I'll have to think about it.
But don't think about it too long. I'll throw you out your fucking ass.
At school, Dennis sets his sights on an attractive new girl named Lee Cabot, played by Alexandra Paul. Unbeknownst to John Carpenter at the time, Paul has an identical twin sister, and together they prank the director by having her sister try to act out a scene late in production.
There's this great still of John peering up at her quizzically like, who is this woman that I just saw the night before? And she seems different. So they shoot the scene with my sister, and then I walk on the set and I go, John, have you fired me already?
Dennis sits down.
Well, I think, if I remember correctly, there was like these twins from Hell's Kitchen Nightmare, there we go. Nearly confused the shows, who ran a pizza joint, and when they met like Gordon Ramsay, they did like the whole twin switcheroo. Like they said the whole thing, the whole like, one goes out, the other goes in, and Graham was like, hey, did you get your brother? And I was on, yep, hi, we're twins. I think that's a twin thing they usually do, but to each their own, right? Anyway.
And tries flirting with Lee, but he ends up sounding like Peter Graves in Airplane.
Listen, do you like music?
You like movies about gladiators?
Like
she shoots him down, and he gets doubly stood up that night by a sharper seeing Arnie, who's basically a different character now. Arnie blows off a trip to the movies with Dennis to go do work for Darnell instead. Arnie's mom is worried about the changes in her son.
Ever since he bought that car, he's been obsessed with it.
And is also worried about the car itself, after finding out that the previous owner died in it thanks to carbon monoxide poisoning. Dennis takes this concern to George LeBay, who's so rich after selling Christine, he's now wearing a dirty blue blazer over his corset. LeBay confirms that his brother killed himself in Christine's front seat after his 5-year-old daughter choked to death and his wife killed herself. Both of those deaths also taking place inside the car. But remember, since we only hear about these deaths and their characters we never met during the movie, they don't go on the count, so don't even start that shit with me. Dennis goes to inspect Christine and finds that she's a regular Benjamin Button. She's looking better than ever, and her odometer has even gone backwards, as though she had spent the afternoon in Cameron Fry's house. He tries to get inside the car, but Christine denies him with some appropriate music. Yo, we should hook Christine up with Bumblebee. Christine's all ready for her coming out party at the high school's big football game, attracting the attention of bully and athlete alike. Dennis gets distracted by Arnie kissing Lee Cabot against Christine's grill, and he winds up getting violently tackled by the opposing team. Damn, that one hurt him for realsies. Are you proud of yourself, Christine? The injury puts Dennis in the hospital for weeks, and when Arnie visits him, he hears that Dennis will never be able to play football again. In fact, he's lucky that he's not paralyzed.
She just did some job on you.
Arnie tells Dennis that he's going steady with Lee, which is why they head to a drive-in theater and neck each other beneath torrential rain. Lee hesitates to keep going, citing an uneasy feeling about Christine that maybe kind of borders on jealousy.
I mean, you care more about that car than you care about me.
Arnie convinces her back inside the car, where she begins to eat the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast. But since Alexandra Paul is a longtime vegetarian, she faked it and just took a bite of bread there. A wiper wipeout sends Arnie outside to fix it, and while he's gone, Christine strikes up the band. Christine has yet another glow-up as Lee chokes on her food, which is exactly how LeBay's brother's daughter died. I'm not sure how Christine is causing shit like this, again, since I haven't read the book yet, but knowing Stephen King, I'm sure it's just some kind of ambiguous evil magic. Christine locks the lovebirds apart so Arnie can't save her, but Lee manages to get out in time for a random dude from the car next door to Heimlich that bread burger free. Arnie takes Christine back to Darnell's and fails to notice when scary bully bully Buddy Repperton and his gang sneak into the garage behind him. After Arnie leaves, the four of them grab some weapons and get ready to start a rendition of Grease Lightning. Okay, Buddy, you take Nicky's part. Bucci, you can be Sonny, and let's we're just smashing shit instead? Okay, sure, yeah, that works too. They do a real number on Christine, inside and out, and the next day, Arnie and Lee find the real love of Arnie's life completely torn apart. It puts him in shock and turns him into a bigger and more abrasive asshole.
Don't touch me, shitter!
But I don't think Arnie has any shitter ground to stand on, because this asshole's choking his dad out and wearing the biggest pop collar I've ever seen. Really? That is textbook shitter behavior right there, Arnie. When Arnie returns to the garage to restore Christine, she shows him a little secret. She can do it her damn self.
Okay.
Alright then.
Show me.
Oh, she will, Arnie. You just keep your pants on. It's a memorable sequence set to the Viscount's Harlem Nocturne that was originally all off screen. Carpenter and Kobritz went back to film this after they had finished the rest of the movie. I love how it's all done practically. The car was filmed compounding itself with hydraulics, and then the footage was simply played in reverse. It was an idea from special effects artist Roy Arbogast, who also worked on The Thing, the first two Jaws movies. Oh, and look at that, The Rage Carry 2. Before you know it, Christine is back in action, which is bad news for Moochie the bully, who just got dropped off at this highway overpass for some reason. Moochie hears that song from Matilda playing and sees that it's coming from Christine. But when he calls out for Arnie to knock it off, the car starts up and comes after him in response. It's the kind of dark and moody urban chase scene that Carpenter excels at, especially with his fantastic score. In fact, the latest thing that Carpenter's directed is a 2017 music video for this movie's main theme. Like a lot of his work, it sounds like some modern synthwaves.
R.I.P. John.
So go check it out if you're into that. After a beautifully shot chase scene, the bully finds himself cornered by the killer car, who sacrifices her chassis for the chase and smooshes the mooches, killing him by crushing him against the wall. The death is investigated by State Police Detective Rudy Junkins, played by the late Harry Dean Stanton, who was last seen on the kill count in, let's see, I think Alien, right?
Right.
Junkins talks to Arnie in the school parking lot, complimenting his bodywork on Christine, but when he brings up Moochie's murder, Arnie says he doesn't know anything about it. Good luck trying to get Arnie to cooperate, Junkins. He's so deep into his Spider-Man 3 transformation, he's already snapping his fingers. His total descent into douchedom is completed that night, when he finally severs ties with Lee over the phone.
Well, fuck you, bitch!
Weeks later, Buddy and his bro Trelawney are doing a little drinking and doing a little driving when they notice a car tailing them a bit too close for comfort. Buddy races off to a gas station where his pal Don works, and which was constructed entirely by the filmmakers from scratch. You'll see why in a second. Christine follows them there, and before she deals with the bullies themselves, she smashes up Buddy's car. With that mission accomplished, Christine sets her headlights on Trelawney, whom she kills using the husk of Buddy's car. Gotta love this kill's blatant dummy. Just hide him behind that wall over there. No one will notice it flopping around. It's fine. Gas begins to leak out, and Don's not fast enough to escape the fire that lights up and kills him via incineration in this giant garage explosion. Don't let that perm catch on fire now, buddy. He doesn't, but Christine is completely aflame. So we get to experience the seriously awesome sight of a flaming car racing through the streets as she chases after Buddy. And since that gas station was all fake, let's just go ahead and blow it up a few times over. Great. It's been too long since we've had a fireball to bow to. Christine chases Buddy down a long and lonesome road until all of a sudden, shining like a shiny demon, she runs him down in the middle of the road. And he said, nothing, because he was dead. The latest addition to the kill count. The flaming car is maybe my favorite scene in this movie, so I've got to give props to stunt coordinator Terry Leonard, the man who drove the car that was actually on fire. He wore a Nomex flame-resistant suit and needed to breathe from an oxygen tank because the fire sucked out all the air from inside the car. And if you think that sounds dangerous, well, it gets worse.
Leonard had to drive inside, but the windows were blackened. so he really couldn't see very well.
Carpenter kept Christine's windows blacked out during the movie to add to the mystery of whether it's Arnie behind the wheel or Christine doing all this killing on her own. Pulling off this stunt with that low visibility is quite an accomplishment, no matter how much Leonard tries to downplay his work.
It's pretty tough to see when you're going 70 miles an hour down a city street. It's a little tough to see, but it wasn't really all that bad. You know, I'm trying to make it sound like a lot worse than it is. It wasn't, but you just got to pay a little more attention when you can't see.
Christine returns to the garage in complete defiance of Darnell's no smoking rule. Damn, girl, how much dry ice you packing in that trunk? Since he knows Arnie is elsewhere, Darnell grabs his handy office shotgun to go see who's driving this smoking hot rod. But when he opens the scorching door handle, he finds there ain't no one inside this cremacario. Guess he might as well, sit in the driver's seat? Doing? Okay. Obviously a bad move, especially after the radio comes on, the door slams shut, and the lock depresses. Christine kills Darnell by moving the seat forward and crushing him against the steering wheel that John Carpenter points out on the commentary track is visibly rubber and fake. This was a much simpler kill than Darnell's book death, by the way, which involved Christine driving directly into his house. Arnie arrives at the garage the next morning to find a bunch of cops there, including Detective Junkins. Junkins tells him that Darnell and all those bullies got killed. And to his credit, Arnie does seem taken aback at the news of his gruff boss's death. Christine's doing just fine though. There's not an inch of soot left on her. By this time, Dennis is finally out of the hospital, and Lee comes over to talk to him about the mean, lean murder car Christine. She says that Arnie's no longer the man boy he once was, and Dennis agrees to try to talk some sense into him one more time. If that fails, the two of them pledge to destroy the Plymouth to save their friend. Arnie picks up Dennis, and he is not in the mood for any jokes about his lady.
So we got the old rust bucket tonight, You wanna watch me comb my car? She's real sensitive.
He starts downing road beers and assures Dennis that Christine can handle herself, even around curves and the like. It's an excellent scene wherein Dennis finally realizes that Arnie is too far gone to save, because this dude's gone full-on George LeBay.
Oh man, there is nothing finer than being behind the wheel of your own car. Except maybe for pussy.
They originally filmed this scene actually driving down the highway, with the actors in a chunk of car mounted to the front of a truck. It turns out trying to act in a piece of car hanging off a semi's grill is a little bit difficult.
All I remember thinking is, I don't want to die, because there were no wheels on the car, so we were just suspended off this truck, and I thought, well, if one whale breaks, you know, basically, we go into the truck goes over us, and it's all over. So I was just wanting it to be over. So I was very happy when we went back and redid the scene in the studio, did it with lighting effects, and that let me kind of concentrate a lot more on the acting than on just, oh my God, get me out of here.
Dennis leaves a message for Arnie to meet him at Darnell's that night, where he and Lee get to hatching their plan, which involves a big old bulldozer. Carpenter specifically wanted some old school machinery to be used against Christine, so John Stockwell had to learn how to operate this thing. Despite coming close a few times, he never messed up and hit a camera. Good job, guy. Dennis and Lee are hoping to trap Christine inside the garage, but turns out that crazy car is already in there waiting for him. Lee only avoids Christine's fender through some impressive acrobatics, and while Christine's trying to free herself from another junked car, Dennis puts the dozer in a defensive position. Christine, who now resembles a wild animal, tries to charge at Lee anyway, but the bulldozer's a good bouncer and keeps the car away. Or should I say it keeps Arnie away, because this time looks like the ex-nerd's actually behind the wheel. Christine revs up and drives straight through the garage's office, which sends Arnie through the windshield. The accident leaves a giant glass shard in his side, and after he pulls it out, he only has enough life left to touch Christine one last time. With that, his light goes out. Christine's headlights go dark to honor him. But you can't spend your time honoring people who died in the past when you've got killing to do in the future. Christine tries once more to run down Lee, and Jesus, almost the camera there too. That was close. After she fails, Dennis takes the opportunity to T-bone the killer car with his bulldozer. He uses the heavy machinery to pin Christine down for a 3 count, turning off her headlights and demo derbying her to death. She tries to heal herself mid-battle, but she just can't save herself this time. And while I briefly debated putting Christine on the kill count, I chose not to in the end since, you know, she's a car. At least she goes out with a swan song though. Christine is turned into a cube and taken to a junkyard, where Junkins, undoubtedly feeling at home, tells Dennis and Lee that they're heroes. They hear an old rock tune coming from Christine's general direction, but don't worry y'all, it's just a working class Joe listening to some tunes.
God, I hate rock and roll.
Speaking of rock and roll, there was originally another ending that featured a cameo by George Thorogood, singer of Bad to the Bone, the song that opened this movie. It didn't work out though. Instead, the movie ends with a sign that Christine still got some miles left to her, signaled by the slightest little shake of her fender. How many people did Christine murder and manslaughter?
Let's find out and get to the numbers.
Get to the numbers. You shitters.
Careful, buddy. Think about 7, 8?
7 people died in Christine, and since they were all dudes, we got a uniformly blue pie chart to contrast with Christine's cool red coat. With a runtime of 100 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 14.29 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Buddy Repperton. We watched a flaming car run a guy over and leave his flaming body behind. I love it. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to Darnell, cause who gets crushed by a car seat moving too far forward? And why'd you even sit down there in the first place, dude? And that's it. Christine came out in 1983, and with this episode, I've managed to give you 10 kill counts in 1 month, which was not easy. So thank you Bree, Zorn, and Josh for all your incredible editing. I really mean it. Until next time, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching.
Man, crazy 10. But anyway, there you go. The kill count for Christine with 7 bodies to her name. So, what do you guys think, huh? So be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys around. Adios.